Long is the road on which I fare, over the world afar, the mountains here and the valleys there, me and this old guitar. The places I've been were places, yes. The things I've seen were things. With this old guitar my soul to bless, by the sound of its silver strings. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandon Wheeler. Why do I have a strong mouth? Because army injury, can't talk right, listen, biting down on something. Moving on. We are here with a new book review, or kind of a series of book reviews, because it's all a bunch of short stories into one. John the Balladeer, the short story collection made by Manly Wade Wellman, and everything like that, this cover thing. Seemingly there's novels about this character and everything like that as well, but this is like the short story stuff that he printed way back and like magazines and everything like this. The series of this went on from like the 1950s to 80s, so a long time stuff. See how I found this on Twitter. There's like a, what was it, the Battleborn magazine or old magazine, something mentioned about like old Southern Gothic history and everything like that. I'm like, wait, what is this? And he showed me the thing, and I'm like, okay, I'll look this up. And so I looked it up because it sounded kind of up my alley with something I've trying to work on to write or something like that. Kind of a flavor I'm going through. And I read it, and it's very good. Now, kind of a fun. I'll get into that later. But what's the story about? The story is about a guy named John. John what? What's his last name? His name is John, although seemingly I read online a lot of, I guess, fans of stuff of his call him Silver John. I was like, okay, but that's specifically called John the Balladeer. And it's a very interesting cover and stuff, and I'll mention it now. The issue with the cover is I show this to like teacher, like two teachers I have at school, one for my creative writing class and one for my what was my world history class. Oh yeah, and I showed him my literature teacher and stuff. But two of them were like, "Well, that seems interesting," and they went looking up the book maybe to go get it. So I was like, "Okay, well, I'm selling more of the book and stuff because the cover is really cool." I'm like, "Well, yeah." So I was like, "All right, well, that's interesting." There is a movie that I found that's based off, I guess, some of the stories or whatever, but the movie is not really that good from I understand. It's like they like miscast and everything like that. So it's like, probably maybe I'll watch it someday, but maybe not. But who is John the Balladeer? Well, you don't know. The only thing you know is that he served in the Korean War, I guess in the army. He was kind of like a good sharpshooter or whatever. But he just travels the Appalachia with his silver string guitar. Why silver? Well, silver's good against evil. I guess silver kind of like, I know the things against werewolves. I don't know why silver being the thing of everything like that. I'm not sure. But he just goes traveling around, or is he actually sent there? Because people seem to kind of look at him as like, is he kind of like a John the Baptist type or whatever like that? Doesn't matter. He's just John. He's just roaming around. He's looking for tales of old songs and everything. He likes hearing old music and everything like that. That's his motivation. Thought I heard an owl outside. But the thing is about his motivations that always gets him into these situations where there's something bad going on, where some sort of occult people doing stuff or just monsters around and everything like that. Like there's this one story. I'm not gonna spoil everything and stuff that happens in the stories, but one story is this like thing in a pool, and out from this pool is this like this. I was thinking that song. One-legged, one-armed, pumpkin face without a face monster that's hopping around trying to claw you, and it's just like, what? That's interesting. But also I've read something about the last story in this, the short story, deals with a this I will kind of spoil. It deals with something like the head being held together by a ribbon, like a lady's head being held together by a ribbon, which is based off, I think, another story. But I guess it's something that's been around because I've seen that happen before with other things, and it's been around with Southern culture stuff. So I was like, well, maybe it's something that's gone around and everything. But there's a lot of different things going on and stuff. Probably the most famous thing I can think of with the song immediately is Vandy, Vandy. There's a song called Vandy, Vandy. Let me just look it up. but it's called like Vandy Vandy, as far as I can remember, as like being the most immediate thing I can think of, like offhand, is like Vandy Vandy. Like, where is it? Yeah, Vandy Vandy, page 43. Now, there's not really much cursing. There's a couple curse words throughout it, but not really a lot. Yeah. Vandy, Vandy, I've come to court you. Be you rich or you poor, and if you kindly entertain me, I will love you forevermore. Vandy, Vandy, I've gold and silver. Vandy, Vandy, I've a house and land. Vandy, Vandy, I've a world of pleasure. I would make you a handsome man. For some reason, I keep thinking it's being said like Vandy, 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 Vandy. For some reason, I keep thinking it's being said like that, but I don't know. But it deals a lot with Southern culture, Appalachia, and everything like that and stuff. That's what I was looking for. It's kind of interesting to read all that. Like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's cool. But there's one famous story in it, and I was like, wait a minute, is that what this is from? I don't think so, but he repeats it and everything because the book is being told from John's point of view a lot of times. There's oftentimes he says, "Gentlemen, when I tell you I ran, I ran." So it's like John retelling the story of everything that's happening and stuff. And there was this one account of, like there's two men on two separate sides of the river. They'd not talked to each other for years. They're separated and everything. There comes a carpenter. He sets up a bridge, and one meets the other, and they reconcile and everything. And that's, a biblical. People point that as a Christian story and everything like that. I was like, is that what this is from? Is he the one that made that up, or is that some other story that he just had that the author took and made and had John kind of retell it in his way because he wanted to include it? Because mainly Wade Wellman wasn't originally from the South. He's from elsewhere, but when he moved to the South and everything like that, he became enamored with Appalachian culture and everything about that and everything. That's why stuff he's just like wanted to highlight and what he went with. I'm like, okay, that's right up my alley. And I live in Georgia and stuff. My brother's the one more into the mountaineering and all that, but nonetheless, learning about culture and stuff, especially with a story idea, because I do indie author stuff. I have 3 books, working on my 4th, and I have a different book, not in part of that fantasy series that's coming out soon. That something else that I want to work on that kind of deals with Southern culture and everything. And it's like, well. So this is kind of like, all right, well, this is right up my alley to look up and research and everything. But there's poems throughout it, like the Vandy stuff, and that's the one that immediately comes to my head is like Vandy, Vandy, compared to all of them. So it's just like, I guess that's the most, and seemingly that's the most famous one out of them all. But I mean, the cover, yeah, that's what the draw, especially with the way this cover is, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's a cool cover." I'm like, "Well, I tried. Trust me, gentlemen. When I tell you I tried, I tried." For my literature class, we have to do this assignment and everything, and we got assigned for a group about discussing Southern Gothic literature. And I'm just started reading over this, and I was like, "Well, this deals with that." Southern Gothic, the movement and everything deals with like a lot of decay in the South from a cultural point of view, a lot of violence, stuff like that. I'm like, this would work, but I wasn't allowed to do it. I couldn't choose this author or this book or anything. I had to choose Cormac McCarthy. So I had to kind of do an assignment and everything on that, which I'm still working on throughout this week. And I was kind of disappointed. I was like, oh, come on, let me do this. This is perfect. It's different. This will be right up in the thing because it deals with all that decay and stuff. And it's got like, religiosity and everything from like a point of view of the South and hospitality, what Southern culture is and how can it be bad at times. It's like, let me have this. I couldn't do it. I was disappointed. But I did try. I was like, hey, can I use this book? Oh well. Uh, but there's a story, he gets, what's her name? Everdare? For some reason, what she's called. But he does meet, oh, that's what I was going to bring up. There's a story in it about the devil going down to Georgia and all that stuff, right? Yeah. There's the story of kind of where he meets a girl and just kind of meets her, and eventually they're going to get married. Oh, yeah, 2 things about it. Her name's Everdare, but there's a guy who has a violin, and obviously it's kind of said that he got it from, I guess, the devil. But, doing a violin and stuff, everything like that, using that. And immediately I'm just thinking of like the devil went down to Georgia for soldiers. He was running behind. I was like, this is something similar along that line. It's like how John's able to defeat things by, kind of singing and using the silver to kind of ward off evil. This guy using the violin to kind of hold people fast with it and everything like that. And I'm just like, well, that's interesting. That reminds me of the Devil Going Down the Georgia song. I was like, is that kind of inspiring one another, or just using that same kind of shared culture type of idea? Like, oh, that's interesting. I won't spoil everything because that'd be a thing. But the next story involving him and Everdare after that, it has to do with this thing called sin eating, which reading about it, I was like, wait a minute, what is this? I know this term. I've heard this term before, like from a story or something, and I don't remember what it was, but it dealt with Everdare saying, "Oh yeah, I'll take it on me," and doing this thing with the sin eating stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't biblical, first off, but it's dealing with the superstition and stuff of the Appalachian and everything like that." I was like, "This isn't biblical," but I was interested as like, I know I've heard this in a story somewhere before about sin eating, whatever, however you say it. I know I've heard it before, and I know there's some sort of movies called The Sin Eater and blah 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 stuff like that. I know there's movie stuff before of it. But as far as a book, probably something of maybe some other old Southern book. I'm trying to remember. I was thinking, is there some sort of mention like "Let the Circle Be Unbroken" or "Roll Thunder, Hear My Cries" or anything like that in there? I don't remember what story I read as a kid, but I know it involved that, and I was like, okay, this is the first time I've heard this term in a long time. I've heard this term before, but it's like kind of like taking the sin on yourself, and if you can kind of overcome the stuff of it, you can like let's go or whatever like that. I don't exactly know, but it was like I know I've heard this term, so it's kind of interesting. It's like okay, interesting, not biblical, but interesting. But again, dealing with Southern culture and then the superstition and everything, the Appalachians and all the stuff that worked, because it's like yeah, that Indian mound over there, yeah, it's haunted. Even the Indians don't want to mess with it. Oh, that's just Indian stuff. And no, that's no, 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 no. If the Indians don't want to mess with it, and people who try to go in there and they never come back, you don't want to mess with it either. Literally, no one messes with that spot. Don't go that way. All the warnings, and John's like, oh, I'm gonna go check it out anyway. You don't want to do that, John. I'm gonna go do it anyway. So it's just kind of funny what that is. But the stories, they can run about 20 pages or something like that. It has, at least in this book, there's some short stories that are like not even a page. I mean, it's about 250 something pages, so about 260, 70 pages with all these different short stories and everything in here. Do I recommend it? Yeah, I do recommend it. Uh, Forgot what it was that recommended. It was a Battleborn or something on the Twitter thing. But John the Balladeer. Have you read it? Have you not read it? This is as far as the short stories. Let me know what you think about it. As far as the actual book, novel things, I think there exist of the character. I'm going to have to check them out someday. As far as the next thing I'm going to be reading, I have one short story I'm going to be reading that's going to be, I'll talk about real soon. And the other one is another book that I'm just started reading the other day and is very much up my alley as well. All right, well, we'll see you in the next one for the next book review. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.